It is no surprise that the biggest and most successful mods for the Elder Scrolls games are the ones that let you make changes to the environment. Bethesda has done an amazing job building their worlds, but once these games get into the hands of fans, those fans in turn spend an inordinate amount of time making the world even more beautiful. This includes adding newer and different types of foliage, adjusting lighting, and increasing the plant density, among other tweaks and improvements. What will we have to look forward to in the Elder Scrolls 6 then? Where in Tamriel will it take place? Bethesda will be releasing this game on the next generation of consoles, and on PCs that are numerous times more powerful than what Skyrim ran on. Keeping that in mind, a true next-generation Elder Scrolls game should strive to set the bar in building an environment that looks beautiful, but that also becomes a part of the game itself. In Skyrim, the only true interaction you had with the environment was the ability to collect herbs and smaller creatures like butterflies. Animals such as bears, saber cats, and wolves would attack you, amongst other enemies, but beyond that, the environment mostly just looked good. It would occasionally snow further north, and further south there is some light rain that will fall. There are sunny days and there are overcast days, and that about covers it for the weather. So, today we will cover environments and environmental interactions. We will discuss where the Elder Scrolls 6 may be located, and the unique properties that each of these locations may hold. We will also be covering whether and how both can create emergent gameplay opportunities. One of my favorite things about Elder Scrolls games is that I can simply wander the environment at my leisure if I so desire. Skyrim in particular was beautiful, and what at first seemed to be just a snowy northern landscape ended up having a wide variety of environments. No, there weren't any tropical beaches, rainforests, or deserts, but the game certainly had more than what the initial trailers for it revealed. With the Elder Scrolls 6, Bethesda has another opportunity to build an entirely new world with a level of realism never before seen or experienced in a game. They are uniquely positioned to deliver this in a new Elder Scrolls game, and it appears that as a team they are getting better at building natural environments. Say what you want about Fallout 76, but the world they built looks great. The indoor environments in that game do leave something to be desired. However, when you consider that they built the Fallout 76 world using their same tired old engine, it makes you wonder how good a next-generation Elder Scrolls world could look if but Bethesda's developers had a better toolset at their disposal. At this point, I have to assume that there will be an entirely new engine built just for the Elder Scrolls 6. I think this should allow for new terrain features as well. In Skyrim, the only barrier to exploration was mountains or hills with an incline that was too steep to walk up. So, rather than go around, most of us just kept on jumping up sideways at an angle for minutes on end. Or rode a horse. Either way, as far as obstacles around the world that affected traversal go, there wasn't much. Counterintuitively, I believe that your character should be able to climb in the Elder Scrolls 6. Perhaps there's even a climbing skill or stamina of some kind. After playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, most open-world games now feel constrained because that was a game where you really could go anywhere, so newer open-world experiences are being judged against it now. And let's be honest, given the wide breadth of skills your character has in an Elder Scrolls game, not having the ability to climb up hills or the sides of castles seems like a huge artificial impediment. Back in the Morrowind days, you could jump extremely high if you leveled your skills correctly. That was almost more like a game-breaking thing than it was a feature. The point is that the game needs to be developed with the ability to climb mountains, hills, and buildings in mind. This changes the way you explore in a pretty big way, but it is an almost expected change. Especially with the Assassin's Creed series encroaching ever closer to RPG territory, and you can make an argument that Odyssey is a full-blown RPG, Bethesda is now competing with more and more companies for time in the Western RPG sphere of influence. By the time the Elder Scrolls 6 releases again, many of the features I am discussing may be commonplace. Anyway, back to terrain features. And I hate to keep bringing up Zelda all the time, but it really did redefine what we will expect from open world games in the future. To this end, terrain features need to actually affect your progression through the world. Walking through an open field should be easier to do than walking through a bog. The same holds true walking up steep inclines or going down hills. The game should make the world feel real. I would expect that my character cannot move as quickly through the desert as he does on a street. These are simply immersive factors in your experience, and I expect that the Elder Scrolls 6 will incorporate them. Breath of the Wild's terrain traversal incorporated all different types of terrain. This included hard snow, soft snow fields, streets, deserts, mud, and more. All had specific effects on how your character moved, and that doesn't even account for the weather, which we'll talk about later. Point is, it made exploring more interactive. Do I push through this muddy area that is slow and hard to traverse, and potentially leave myself open to an attack that will be hard to defend, or do I take the long way around? There's no wrong answer here because either way, the player makes the choice. That in and of itself is great gameplay because I am actively making decisions while I play, not just going from point A to point B, following a marker. We aren't exactly sure where the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to take place, but we know it is likely going to be in Western Tamriel. So, assuming it is either High Rock or Hammerfell, there are plenty of options for new terrain. I'm going to cover both areas in broad strokes, but you can read more about what I discuss here in the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. There's a wealth of information there and hours of reading if you decide that any of these locations require more personal investigation. Hammerfell is a very strong candidate for the Elder Scrolls 6, as it is filled with desert areas, archipelagos, port cities, mountains, badlands, and more we likely don't have any idea about as of yet. So, based on what we do know, it is the perfect setting, at least when discussing potential environments and terrain options. Bethesda has an opportunity to create all types of unique environments for players to explore, all in the same game. Just looking over some of the landmarks in Hammerfell, it is clear that this is a very strong candidate. I am excited about the potential to play in the desert environment of the Likerd Desert. Within this region are the Dwemer ruins of Völunnfell, a fallen Dwemer capital city, the lost city of Na Tutambu, the cities of Sentinel, Lainlin, Bergama, Kazanset, and Stockholm. There's even the Montalion necropolis, which sounds interesting. The Fallen Wastes are located in the Bang Korai region, along with the city of Hallin's Stand. Craglorn is a region in northeastern Hammerfell and borders Skyrim. In Skyrim, you are relatively close to Craglorn when you're in Falkreath, for example. Kafrem is the coastal region of Hammerfell down in the south. It includes the Hughes Bane Peninsula, along with the port city of Abaz Landing. Hammerfell even has a tropical island called Stras Makai. It is a pirate haven, and it too has Dwemer ruins. As you all know, Dwemer ruins are my favorite. What could be better than exploring Dwemer ruins in a tropical paradise? I mean, seriously. There are numerous other areas and cities within Hammerfell, but you get the point. This is an area of land larger than Skyrim, and it contains far more environmental diversity than Skyrim did. It is the perfect setting for the Elder Scrolls 6. High Rock is the other speculated location of the Elder Scrolls 6. While it isn't quite as varied as Hammerfell, it is still a more diverse collection of regions than Skyrim was. High Rock has mountains, lush forests, and badlands. Its regions include the westernmost region in High Rock, Glenumbra. Glenumbra is interesting because it is next to the Etheric Ocean. It has plains, forests, and even swamps. Old Elder Scrolls fans know that Daggerfall resides in Glenumbra. Stormhaven is the birthplace of one of the most important figures in Elder Scrolls lore, Tiber Septim. It also includes the city of Wayrest, a large trade hub, and sits at the mouth of a large river. Rivenspire is the northernmost area of High Rock. Conceptually, it sounds like an interesting place to explore and hide high-level bandits and enemies. Rivenspire consists mostly of dry badlands with canyons and creepy-looking rock formations. It's definitely an area ripe for exploration. Bang Korai is a particularly forested region, but also includes the garrison of Bang Korai Pass and the city of Evermore. Hrothgar is home to the large orcish city of Orsinium. It is a mountainous area generally filled with orc strongholds, making it an overall interesting region to explore as a player. It also contains numerous Dwemer ruins, my favorite. As far as islands in High Rock go, there is the Isle of Balfiria, home to the oldest known building in all of Tamriel, Durrani Tower. Bettany is also a forested isle home to orcs as well. What High Rock lacks in diversity of environments, it makes up in history and lore. There are plenty of ancient and interesting places to explore, so Bethesda really can't go wrong either way. But, since this video is covering environments, I think Hammerfell wins out simply due to the fact that nearly all biomes are represented and would be available for players to explore. So, Bethesda gives us a world to explore, and let's say that they make it beautiful with many varied environments. Now, we need weather. To put it mildly, weather made absolutely no difference to what you were doing in Skyrim. The Elder Scrolls 6 needs to make some significant strides in this area. Now, I am not advocating going full Breath of the Wild here with rainstorms every 30 minutes that make areas nearly inaccessible, but they can take cues from Nintendo's open world adventure. First, the weather really needs to be more varied. Both potential locations, Hammerfell and Hyrak, will allow for some crazy weather conditions. We are talking storms with full rain squalls where you can't see 10 feet in front of you. High winds that greatly alter the trajectory of arrows by both the player and enemies, necessitating close quarters combat. Snow that is coming down so hard you can't see but a few feet in front of you. Basically, real-world weather conditions that we see from time to time. These extreme conditions can be added to the tame weather we saw in Skyrim. Bethesda should provide the full range of weather, complete with seasons. There is an in-game calendar, and I think it would be amazing to build a world with full winter, spring, summer, and fall. This is a lot of work, but areas would be different to explore in the winter versus the summer. Imagine a waterfall frozen in the winter that has a cave hidden behind it. In the spring and summer, you could wander by and now have access to that cave. I also think that these weather conditions need to affect the player, not just by making it harder to walk in the snow, but also by making temperature affect the player's character. Skyrim and other Elder Scrolls games includes dozens of varieties of clothing and armor. Imagine leaving your in-game house in Kefrem in South Hammerfell on a quest that is going to take you up to Dragonstar in the northeast area near Skyrim, in the winter. You'll need to bring gear for cold weather that will keep you warm, because up there, in the winter, the weather is brutal. And imagine once you are there, that there was a storm so bad that you briefly need to take shelter because it is so cold and you cannot see. Or, imagine venturing into Alakir Desert in the summer and needing special attire to survive during a quest to some long-forgotten ruins where you only have a general direction to head in. Temperature changes don't need to be overbearing, but in real life, if it is freezing cold outside, people wear more clothing. It is simply more realistic, and it adds to both player engagement as well as a sense of realism within the game world. The worlds and lore that Bethesda builds are what bring players back again and again. Simply by making that world more realistic, with weather that affects your character and terrain that alters how you progress, makes for a better game. It requires real player engagement during exploration and ensures that you plan for long excursions into the unknown. I know that some of these suggestions are controversial, such as the weather affecting your character, so if nothing else, Bethesda could allow you to turn this feature off if you wanted a more relaxing experience. Lots of developers are creating more hardcore modes, and Bethesda themselves did it with Fallout 4. More choice is always a good thing, because then everyone wins. Thank you for watching the latest in my Elder Scrolls 6 for a New Generation series. There are several other topics I've covered so far related to the Elder Scrolls 6, so please feel free to check them out. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing.